Hi, I'm Margaret, and welcome to Garden School. I'm noticing something you probably are too, that there's a lot of things starting to emerge from the ground. And that emergence or that appearance of things from the ground or the appearance of animals that you haven't seen in a bit, that is called phenology. Now, that comes from a Greek root word that means to appear. So it is the study of how things appear or when they appear, and it's specifically tied to the calendar events, our astronomical calendar, so the sun, the moon, as well as what's going on with our climate, our local climate, and how that can affect the appearance of things. I wanted to show you a couple. So right here I have I'm seeing a whole lot of these little cotyledons. It's just the two seed leaves from this. And judging from, well, I happen to know what these are, but if you take a look at these leaves here, most of the leaves are maple leaves. And ho, there is a big maple tree there. In fact, there's a lot of maple trees all around here. So if I just take a look here and maybe pull out one of these or a couple of these little seedlings. Okay. Oh, look, did you see that? There was one of those, oh look at that, the maple seed. Still connected to its little wing, its little propeller as the dispersing agent. Oh my goodness, and that is a great thing to see. How water has penetrated the seed coat, and water and temperature are what will typically initiate that growth generation of the embryo, which is inside there. Very neat. Now I wanted to take a look at this little one here that I found here. And once water or moisture starts to penetrate the seed coat, and there is the correct temperature, which both of those things are specific to the species and perhaps even maybe varieties within the species, that stimulates the embryo that would be inside that seed to swell. And then you see the embryonic root coming out this way, and it's geotropic, which means toward the earth. So it will go down, and then the embryonic shoot comes up this way, and that would grow upward toward the light. So it would be phototropic. Now we even see on this little one a little secondary root is starting. Oh, there are lots of little roots there. That's really cool how fast that can happen. So it's really a certain amount of moisture and a temperature, a soil temperature, that will trigger that growth response in a seed. Now, for some seeds, light is also a factor. There are some common flower seeds that do respond better for germination to exposure to light. And one of those is lettuce, petunias. There's, begonias. So if you wanted to grow begonias or petunias from seed, you're going to have to leave those on the surface of the soil and have light exposure for them. Probably a grow light. And that's not the case with most seeds. Most seeds we find can germinate in the dark, so beneath the ground. And that's why on your seed packet you'll see to cover with a certain amount of soil as you're planting your seed. So some need light for germination, but most will germinate without light. And there are some that require darkness to germinate. So just check that out. That might be kind of a fun thing to do. Now for a lot of plants, including our fruit trees and our berries, the plants require a number of cold hours, and that would occur during the winter time. And when the plant has achieved that number of cold hours, which is species specific, then it can be ready for bud burst. And at that point, there would be warmer temperatures, there would be moisture available, and then there would also be an increased day length. And that's what we would see in the springtime. And then you would get your bud burst. Now, with insects, for instance, mason bees and other native bees, you would see them emerge when the temperature warms to a certain temperature. That's oftentimes the trigger for these insects. Now, if our temperature is irregular and we get a very warm set of days early, or I would say late in the winter, those bees will emerge and be looking for a food source. And if it's too early for the trees that would be providing the flowers and the pollen for those bees, that can cause an uncomfortable situation and perhaps an unsuccessful situation for both the bees and the pollination of the trees. Thing to think about, considering climate change issues, is if that is becoming out of sync, the pollination of the trees or the blooming of the trees, making the pollen available, and the insects that are available to pollinate, that's going to impact your fruit production. That's something to consider. So it's really cool that these things are in sync, and that when the bees emerge, that there are flowers to provide pollen for them, and then they're pollinating the trees so that we can have the fruit. Just as something to consider there. Another thing to consider regarding the bud break is day length. Day length, the length of the days is very important, species specific, and also actually the night length is important during the winter time when the trees are counting up their cold days, their cold hours, and in dormancy, preparing for emergence in spring. That would be their phenology. So for seeds, we want to consider the temperature, the amount of moisture they're going to get, whether they need light for germination or darkness for germination. Just consider that. For plants that we have in our landscaping and for animals, day length seems to be important too to trigger a change, as well as temperature too. So consider those things, and I hope that you're able to get out and see some things that are happening in your yard or in your environment. Watch for some new things to be emerging from the ground. Watch for things to be happening on your existing plants, some leaf buds, some beginning flower buds. And also watch for some changes in animal behavior that are triggered by, most of the time, by day length. Like, hey, my chickens are laying more eggs now. Good for you. I hope you're able to do that and have fun with that. Take a look and enjoy the phenology of this time of year. There's always more to learn in the garden. Bye-bye.